Hi, everyone. This is Tina Wu. I am the Member Relations Coordinator at the Assembly of European Regions. I'm so glad you were able to join us today. We are going to be talking about connectivity and infrastructure in Europe. We first have Martin Tollen. He is from the region of Östergötland in Sweden. He is also the head of our working group on transport and mobility.
Thank you, Tina. As Tina said, I'm representing the region of Östergötland. Östergötland is well located in the southern part of Sweden between Stockholm and Copenhagen. It's 2 hours south of Stockholm. The main cities in Östergötland are the twin cities of Linköping and Norrköping. And even though we have a strong agriculture history and tradition, and still a strong agriculture sector in Östergötland, we are now dominated by the high-tech industry motored by the Linköping University and companies like Saab, Siemens, and Toyota. Myself, I'm deputy chair of the Committee for Transport and Urban Planning in Region Östergötland. And as you said, Tina, I'm also chair of the working group on transport and mobility and a deputy member of the AER Bureau too.
How is the connectivity and infrastructure in your region to other regions in Sweden and to other countries?
Östergötland is pretty well connected, even though the demands are even greater, because since Östergötland and to an even greater part the rest of the Nordic countries are sparsely populated, commuting over long distances are important for connectivity to job. And in Östergötland, there's very much commute between our two major cities, Linköping and Norrköping, and also from the more rural part of Östergötland to the twin cities, and from Östergötland to other regions. And it's especially Stockholm that is an important destination in our daily travel. So in a more international context, we are very fortunate to be on the highway and railroad between Stockholm and Copenhagen. So we have pretty good infrastructure through Östergötland. But of course, it's not only a blessing, because it's very much national and international travel going to Östergötland. So it started being a threat to the travel inside Östergötland. But when the railroads are full, we have to choose between our local commuter trains and the long distance trains. And usually the long distance trains win in that prioritization. But what I think is interesting in this situation is that those actions we can take to connect Europe in a better way. The TNT corridor ScanMed goes through Östergötland to Stockholm. The actions and investment that will improve the connectivity of Europe will also benefit on a very local level in Östergötland. So the ability to travel from between Norrköping and Linköping will increase in the same speed as we increase the ability to go from Stockholm to Hamburg or from Stockholm to Brussels.
What are some challenges that you are facing, and how are you handling this?
I think one of the challenges, and this is also a challenge that has a local perspective, but it also has a perspective on a European level. It's building an interconnected region, and it's also sometimes when we have to navigate between the knowledge that we need to develop. We need urban development near train stations, for instance, to make it easy to commute to jobs in other parts of Östergötland and Sweden. We need to increase the capacity of the existing infrastructure, building the growth in these corridors between our nodes. And we need to combine that with the wish for development also of the rural areas in Östergötland. So on the local level, even in the municipality level, we're also working with building near bus stops and where we can have a good public transportation. And we have other areas that isn't that accessible, and we doesn't really dare to say that you're not allowed or supposed to live there. And this is also a dimension on the national level in Sweden, but also as we're speaking in AER between rural areas and urban areas, where you need to be able to live and work and enjoy yourself in the more rural areas, while much of the infrastructures are connecting the big cities. So this is a challenge where we are navigating quite a lot.
Sweden is on the forefront of the transition to a climate-neutral society. What has been done in your region to improve connectivity and infrastructure in line with the goal of the Green Deal?
I think one part that is very important and a big political challenge is to manage sustainable transportation, because we know that people are traveling. We need to move ourselves to get a job. We need to transport goods from other parts of Sweden and other parts of the world. But we need to be able to do this in a sustainable way. At the moment, everyone is talking about electrification and building an electrical infrastructure. And that's one part of the solution, but it's not enough to have that as the only solution, because in Europe, a large part of the electricity will come from non-renewable sources for a foreseeable future. In Östergötland, we have since 20-25 years built infrastructure with biogas and biofuels. And there, the region had been one of the facilitators, since we are responsible for the public transportation. And in our cities, the buses are fueled by biogas. And therefore, the municipalities have been able to do the big investment in building the production plants for biogas when they knew that the public transportation will be a customer for what they are producing. And now, when we are building a society with circular economy, then we have a great benefit of this tradition of building a biogas and biofuel production, since they are working as engines in this circular economy. When we can use our food waste or products from the farms and make biogas of that. I heard on radio as soon as late this morning that the farms in Sweden could be able to produce 3 times as much energy through biogas that they are using. So here we have a great potential. We are already we are in a good position, but we have a big potential we can use in an even greater way. The public transportation is also an important tool for the regions, because the big gain for the climate is really not having the cars to use renewable fuels. It is if we can decrease the use of the cars and instead increase public transportation. And that's not only a benefit for the climate, it's a benefit for the congestion in the cities, for instance. And the last, I think, big opportunity where we are only starting, it is the development of mobility as a service, MaaS solutions, where we can combine the digitalization, the sharing economy, and the region and the municipalities can work as the facilitators in creating these mass solutions. Here we are just starting, but I think if we are looking a few years ahead, I think this will be one of the big areas where development will occur regarding mobility and transport in society.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Martin, and sharing your experiences of the connectivity and infrastructure in Region Östergötland. Also, to all of our listeners, we're so happy that you were able to join us today, and we hope that if you have any questions or comments, feel free to contact us at info@aer.eu or via social media at European Regions.